And, I believe that shoes are kind of an example to me. And I have this in my classroom. And I'm sorry, I broke the frame. I'm now going to have it framed again. But anyway, it's a picture that was drawn and given to me by a student. And it has high heel shoes all over it. And this very day in class, the little boy was writing a note, and I couldn't tell what he was writing. And I didn't care. I said, you don't write notes, hand that note over, and you'll be missing first recess. And so he handed the note over to me, and was very down, and he sat down and continued to do his work as his friends left for recess. And when I opened that note, it's great, here's this note. This is what he had been writing. And it says, I love Mrs. Bingham more than she loves high heels, and that's mostly impossible. And I thought to myself, I'm framing this, and I'm putting this in my classroom, because I look at those shoes and I realize that each child has walked in a different pair of shoes on a different path to get to the moment where they stand before me. And I need to always remember that we don't understand because we can't take every step they've taken in their shoes. And we need to be mindful of that and love them for the differences that they have. It is true that we take a great deal of our own upbringing into our adult lives and our lives as parents. But it's true, too, that we can change some of the things that we would like to change. It can be hard, but it can be done. It takes people like Gary Ann and devoted people such as the family of FLC to assist people in making these positive changes. I have a quote posted in my classroom that reads, life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of what you do with what happens to you. I am so thankful for amazing people like Gary Ann who choose to use their 9% to make this world a better place. Through her efforts, she is single-handedly rewriting the book on what mental illness looks like. Her testimony and witness is proof to the world that all we simply need is love and education to turn the tide on the stigma that is attached to mental illness. I now welcome to you, Mrs. United States, Dr. Gary Ann Gunter. Thank you. Now I'm an emotional wreck, so I'm sorry. I'm going to try to make it through this, but I certainly appreciate the warm introduction and for you sharing your story that, as we've sat here together today, are very much the same. We haven't walked in the same shoes and the same path, but we have gone through a lot of the same trials and tribulations in separate parts of the world, and it is phenomenal to share that with someone. I have to thank Melissa Cromwell for email and technology and for contacting me so that I could come and join you all, and for everyone at the Family Life Center for welcoming my family with open arms. People make fun of the name and call it a church or whatnot, but it truly is a family, and that is a fitting name for that organization because we feel like part of your family now, and it's going to be tough to go home, even though there is no place like home. I'm very honored and thankful to have the opportunity to be here with you today. I think one of the most frequent questions that I get asked is, why did you choose this platform? And in all reality, I didn't choose this platform. It chose me. And looking back over my life, it has been very clear how God was leading me to this career and to this platform, to this purpose, and to this very moment. Looking back as a child, I never wanted to be a psychiatrist. Never entered my mind that I would go into psychiatry. Although I guess I was somewhat more aware than most children my age, as my mother suffers from bipolar disorder. So I grew up in a home where mental illness was very real. It was there daily, and it was something that we all struggled with and learned from day to day. Still never wanted to be a psychiatrist. Wasn't even sure what that was, but I knew I wanted to help people. I wanted to be in healthcare somehow. I can remember as a child in my room, there was always a mess because everything was pulled out of every drawer in the chest of drawers, and there were animals wrapped in tissue paper in their hospital beds, all in my chest of drawers. And I thought maybe I'll be a veterinarian, and that lasted for a little while. And then I said, you know what? I know what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a pediatrician because I love children. I love to babysit. I had younger brothers and sisters, and that's what I'll be. Pediatrician for me all the way. And I believed that for a very long time. All the way into medical school, as a matter of fact, when I was studying so hard in my pediatrics and planning my rotations accordingly that I would be a shining star by the time that I got to that rotation. But I had something happen to me that changed my life forever, and that was my psychiatry rotation. I fell in love with psychiatry and had the opportunity to work in the children's unit at an inpatient hospital there. There was one little girl that is forever ingrained in my mind. She was 10 years old, and she was having a very hard time, as her parents had told her that she was an accident, that she should have never been born, she had no purpose in this world, and she was trying to find out, what is my purpose? Do I have a purpose? And as I was trying to decide what career path I would follow, I shared with her that I believe God created everyone for a reason, that everyone has a purpose, and that even I was still trying to find my purpose. And she looked up at me with those big brown eyes, tears full, and she said, Dr. Gunter, your purpose is to help kids like me. And I said, wow, you're exactly right, and I don't know why I haven't seen it for so long, but I haven't looked back from that moment, and it's truly where I have belonged all along, but it's taken a while to get here. As Mrs. United States, things have been incredible. It has given me an opportunity to speak out nationally, to be here with people like you for this cause that I'm so passionate about, and that is eliminating the stigma of mental illness. Stigma is huge. It's real. It is a silent weapon that keeps many people from seeking help. I have patients at home in South Carolina that come to their psychiatry visits in secret from their families for fear of being shunned or disowned or looked at differently. And you know when someone is suffering, isolation is the worst thing that can happen. Can you imagine going to a friend or a family member and saying, I've just been diagnosed with cancer? And they say, what? You better not go to the doctor. You better not tell anybody that you have cancer. You better not do anything about that. I don't want to see you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. That would be ridiculous. But when people come out and say, oh, I have bipolar disorder, or I have depression, or I've got to go into the hospital for a while, they don't get the loving and opening arms that people with mental illnesses often do. They get pushed aside, they get shunned, which only furthers their depression or their plight. So my effort is to teach people the truth about mental illnesses, because they're illnesses just like any other, only they affect the brain. It's just like having high blood pressure or diabetes. They're biological illnesses. It's not because somebody made a bad decision, because somebody is lazy and doesn't want to get out of bed, because that they took the wrong path or walked in the wrong shoes, or that their parents did something wrong in raising them, or that they did something wrong as a parent. It's none of those things. It is out of your control. But lots of people don't equate mental illnesses with physical illnesses. And psychiatrists. Many people don't want to see a psychiatrist. Can you think of any movies that maybe portray people with mental illnesses in a certain way? Like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Has anybody seen that movie? After that movie, would anybody want to go see a psychiatrist? No. Would anybody want to have electroconvulsive therapy or shock treatment? Absolutely not. Those are the kinds of things that perpetuate stigma. Then have you seen any movies that show psychiatrists or psychiatry in a good light? They're few and far between. There are more now than there used to be, but most of the time, our patients with mental illnesses are the ones that are the psychopath killers. They're out on the street causing chaos, or they're being taken away in straitjackets. And the psychiatrists are the ones that are acting inappropriately with their patients or out killing people as well. And it all becomes a very scary mess.